All right. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fearless Show. We have yet again another amazing segment for you. I'm super excited about this one because I have been heavily interested in learning more about stocks. I've been doing a little investing, so I cannot wait to dig in and have this conversation. As most of you know, my name is Sue Fearless, and I am here today interviewing Mabel Nunez. Hi, Mabel.
Okay.
So excited to have her. She is the founder and chief educating officer of Girls on the Money. Okay. And it's a stock market investing education company for underrepresented individuals in the investing world. So are you an underrepresented individual? I know I am. So that's why we're having this conversation today. So I'm super excited. So without further ado, I'm going to let Mabel introduce herself and let us know a little bit more about herself.
Thank you. Hi, Sue, and your audience. I'm so excited to be here talking about my favorite topic in the world, which is investing. Like you said, I'm the founder of Girls on the Money. I started the company back in around 2014, but I didn't go full time with it until around 2018. And my mission with the company is just to teach women, minorities, underrepresented individuals how to invest in the stock market and how to do it the way that I feel that you can be successful at it and how you build a profitable portfolio over time. And the reason why I was so interested in this field is because when I first learned about investing back in my senior year of college, I didn't know anyone in my circle of family or friends or anyone that I was close to that invested. And I took a class in finance in college, and I was blown away by the way my professor taught it was anybody can build wealth if you invest in successful businesses and you hold on to your stocks over time. And I was so intrigued by the topic, and I was wondering why wasn't everybody doing that. So I became obsessed with investing, and eventually I grew my passion into my business, which is what I do today. And yeah, that's just what I do through my courses, my books, and just through my content on social media. So just a huge passion of mine.
Yes. Oh my God, that is so awesome. And thank you so much for, becoming passionate, learning about it, and then wanting to educate us. I think that that is the key right now. And the shift that we're going through right now in our communities is that we're pouring into our communities everything that we know, whether it's business, whether it's stock investing, mental health, whatever it is, we're sharing that knowledge so that all of us can thrive. So thank you so much for being a part of that community and doing that. I really appreciate it. And a fellow Latina like
Yes,
me.
yes.
So that's so exciting. And that's one of the reasons why I reached out to you too, because I'm like, yes, I want to, be around women who are empowered in my community, Latina women, women of color. I think it's super amazing to see. So thank you. And congratulations again on all of your success.
Thank you.
It's really awesome. Yes. Yes. So you shared a little bit about why you went into stock investing, and then you also shared a little bit about your college experience. So I did want to ask, what is your take on? I know you got your master's in finance, your MBA. I wanted to know, what is your take on how useful a college degree is nowadays?
Wow, such a great question. Honestly, for what I do today and for a skill such as investing and being successful with investing, I can tell you 100% you don't need a college degree for that. You don't need an MBA in finance for that or a PhD or anything like at all like that. People have that misconception that you need to have, you need to be good at math, you need to have all these advanced degrees, and that's not true. Most of what I know about investing and most of what I have learned over time has come from experience and from reading books about investing or learning that specific topic. I went through a whole MBA program with the idea. When I started the MBA, I started it with the idea that I was going to learn how to be a better investor because I was so obsessed with the topic.
Yeah.
That's how obsessed I was with it, that I went into an MBA in finance for that reason. And soon after, like within my first couple of semesters, it clicked for me that this is not where you come to learn about investing. They teach you about corporate finance, how to be a CFO for a big business and stuff like that, which has nothing to do with stocks or how to do your analysis or nothing like that. But I stuck through the program just because part of it is because I started the program and I felt kind of bad like dropping out of it, and And I'm thankful for the education. You know, education never goes to waste. Like I learned things in my MBA program that I apply to my business today. But in terms of like the actual, what I'm actually doing now in terms of, you know, successful investing, it has nothing to do with a college degree. Anybody, even with a high school diploma, can go ahead and invest and do it right. The only thing I would say, educate yourself first, because in the world of finance, there's a lot of scam artists and people that make you think that you can make money quickly, like overnight, and that's not how it works. So I would say educate yourself from a trusted source, and then you can do it successfully, but you don't need any type of fancy degrees to do that, or, you know, so in my opinion.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that, because I feel the same way. However, I'm still an advocate for getting your education, only because I feel there's also traits that you learn, right? You know, organization skills, you learn how to network within your college, you know, and things like that. You know, being timely and, you know, project management and just things like that. So you know, that's why I still do encourage, you know, going to college and things like that. However, on the flip side, I do know that there's, you know, some of us who are just not into college, you know, so it's great to know that we have these avenues if we're not interested in going to college, but we can still be successful. We can invest, and, you know, the proceeds we make from that, we can start our businesses and things like that. So, you know, I love that you shared that. So thank you. Thank you.
Well, and I definitely agree with you. Getting your education is very valuable, because of that, the connections that you get in college and in grad school are very valuable once you graduate. You wouldn't have the same opportunities or the same connections if you never went to school. So definitely has its pros 100%. But just to like not discourage anyone from like thinking, oh, you know, I have to go through, you know, 8 years worth of finance education to go ahead and do certain things. So yeah, but I completely agree with you.
Yeah, exactly. The network is super important. Let's see. Okay, so we're currently, you know, going through some sort of recession right now, inflation especially. And I know you mentioned that when you first started investing in 2008, right there, the market crashed a few months later. So I wanted to know if you can provide some advice for those who are just getting started during these type of times right now, where everything is costly, where we're going through a recession and things like that.
Yeah, great question. Yeah, I think it's honestly for investors or first time investors, I think you guys are super lucky and it's an amazing time, even if it doesn't look like it. Like you said, when I started investing, it was 2008. I don't know how old your audience is, but it was that time when a serious market crash happened later in the year, around September, October. I started investing in June, July of that year. And, you know, I was doing well. I was so excited. And then the whole market crashed. And, you know, instead of panicking and being like, oh my God, I'm losing all this money all of a sudden, I actually got super excited, because a lot of the companies that I wanted to get were all on sale, you know, 40% off, 50% off, you know, a lot of the stuff that I wanted to get. So it was an amazing time. So anybody that's starting out, trust me, like if you can set aside some money, you know, pay your bills, pay your debt, whatever, you know. Another important thing is have your emergency fund in place. That's a non-negotiable. You have to have some money on the side in your savings account just for emergencies. But if you have $100 after that, or $50 every paycheck, put it aside for in an investment account and start, you know, educating yourself, doing your research, and start getting into the market. There's no perfect time to get into the market. There's no way to time the market. We don't know how long this is going to last, this crash that we've been facing this year. You know, it could end next month. It could last to the end of the year. We don't know that. All that we know and what I've seen from my experience is that the market always recovers. So maybe by this time next year, everything will be back to normal. We don't know that. So I will say the best time to start is as soon as you have $100 open your investment account and get it moving. There's no reason to get discouraged. And like you said, I know we're going through inflation and a lot of the gas prices are super high and stuff like that. So I would say, you know, if you're able to, you know, I know you have certain financial responsibilities. If you're able to set some money aside, get started. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a lot. Every investment account in this day and age doesn't have an account minimum. So you can start with $50, you know, $20, whatever you want, and just get that momentum going. So that's what I would say.
Absolutely. And I know you mentioned during this time there are a lot of stock sales. So I know I personally invested in the recent, I believe it was Amazon stock split.
Yes.
Yes. And I know that you talk about there's one coming up with Google. So tell us a little bit more about stock splits and what they mean, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of investing in stock splits?
Yeah, great question. And yeah, definitely a great opportunity to invest in those stocks that used to be super expensive. Like Amazon at some point last year was almost $4,000. Then this year it crashed a little bit. It was like almost 3,000. But again, like you said, it was a split that happened, and now it's like $100 and something per share. And same thing is going to happen with Google on July 15th. The shares are going to go from like 2,000 something to $100 and something per share. So definitely a great opportunity to get invested in these great leaders in these are huge conglomerates, leaders in industries that a lot of people didn't have access to until after the split. So it's a great opportunity, I would say, to get some shares. And the splits doesn't really change anything about the value of the company. All it does, it reduces the price of the stock by, you can think of it as a pizza slice. Like it's a whole, first it was a whole pie, and then the company decided to divide the pie into 20 pieces. That's what happened with Amazon. So somebody that already was invested in Amazon, for example, the value of their investment didn't change at all. If they had $5,000 invested in Amazon, after the split, it would still be $5,000. The only thing is that they will have, instead of having 2 shares, they will have 40 shares. Just split, the number of shares split, but the value in itself doesn't change. And the reason why some companies do this is to make it more accessible for beginner investors, because not a lot of people have just almost $4,000 laying around to buy 1 share of Amazon versus a couple of $100 now they can afford it. So that's one of the main reasons why a lot of companies do that. Google has going to do it. Amazon, Tesla has done it a couple of times. So I wouldn't just buy any stock split. You got to look at the company itself and make sure it's a company that you feel is like a good business that's going to be around for many, many years. Like I wouldn't just go crazy and buy any split. So you got to be careful with that too. But when it comes to those businesses, absolutely. Like I think that's
so do you see this to be a trend? Do you see a lot of major companies starting to do that now, selling their stocks at stock split?
Yeah, it seems like it. I was surprised with Amazon because I think a lot of people were waiting for that for a long time.
Yeah.
And they came out of nowhere with it. So, and then Google followed through. So I could see it being a trend. I would just be careful. Like I said, other companies might try to do it too, just to get more investors into the door. Just be careful about what company it is. Just don't buy the split just because it's cheaper. That's one thing about investing. A lot of people buy stocks because they're cheap. And that's not the way to think about investing. You have to think about the value of the business itself. Because remember, you're buying a business, a company. You're not just buying a piece of paper or shares. You're buying a piece of a business. So you got to think about the business itself before you make a decision.
Absolutely. Get educated on it. Yes. And that's how we have you. Thank you so much for that. So let's see. Why do you think people are so afraid to invest in the stock market? And why is it such an enigma in our local communities?
Yeah, great question. I think it's a lack of, first of all, lack of education. A lot of people don't know exactly how investing works, and also the lack of people around you who have invested. For example, my personal experience is that, I learned about the market in my senior year of college, and I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. Why isn't everybody doing that? But I didn't start investing until a few years later because of fear, because I didn't know anyone at all, family, friends, nobody, my professor, obviously, because he taught us, but nobody that I knew had invested before. So I was nervous about that world because I wasn't educated in it enough, or I didn't have an experience in it either. So that also plays into the role. And I didn't get started. I didn't make my first move or bought my first stock until I met someone. It was one of my coworkers at my first job. And he was sitting next to me, I don't know, the universe, God, I don't know who saw him next to me, but he had been investing for many years. And I shared with him like, hey, I'm passionate about this, but I don't know how to go about it. And he walked me through the whole process, and he showed me his portfolio, and he showed me what was possible. So that's when I started to be, something clicked, like, oh wow, like it is possible. This is not a scam. Investing does build wealth. But I think it has to do with that lack of education, lack of experience, and lack of people around you that do it as well.
Yes.
Because when you don't have other people to talk to about it, or to educate yourself with, you become very scared of the whole thing. So
yeah, definitely. And I think also people feel like you need to have tons of money to be able to invest as well. So I think that's something, that comes with gaining the education and
100%.
knowledge around that. Yeah.
100%. Oh,
Definitely.
yeah, that's a really great point. Like back in the days, people that invested were people that were high wealth individuals with hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank. They had connections at their banking institution that would invest for them. So that's how it worked back in the days. But things have changed. It's night and day now, so now it's so much more accessible. But yeah, great point that people think they need a lot of money, and that's not the case.
Yeah, because like especially in New York City, right? We have the stock market in Wall Street, right? So it was always seen as wow, like the stock market, like all the business professionals are in there, and they're just like, as soon as that bell rings, they're going off, right? So you feel like, oh wow, that's out of my league.
Yeah, exactly. That's not for me to say why rich people or whatever, but yeah.
Yes, exactly. Okay, let's see. Okay, when investing in the stock market, what companies should we be looking for? I know we talked about stock splits and things like that, but what other advice can you give us as to what companies we should look for? Should we look into companies that we're interested in, that we normally spend money on? Like what kind of tips can you give us?
Yes, absolutely. Like my personal strategy has always been, first of all, think about companies that you know and love, or maybe you don't love them, but you feel that everybody else in the world is obsessed with it. Companies like that. I really like companies that are leaders in their industry. If you think about a particular industry, who's number one, who's like the leader in there, and that have strong brands that are internationally recognized. And you don't have to really go too far. Companies that have been around, in the way I approach it, I look at companies that have been around for generations, like a Nike, an Apple, a Disney, Clorox, companies that you use on your day to day, and that have established their, they're financially sound. They've been around for many years. They're already profitable. They're already doing good business. That has been my strategy for a long time. I know other people approach investing as wanting to look for the next Amazon or the next Google. Like, they look for companies that are not yet as popular. But I've always been hesitant to go that route, because usually those stocks are much more riskier. So either they can become very successful, yes, maybe, but they can also crash and go bankrupt. So it's a really fine line. So you can always have a balance of those like up and coming companies and then established businesses. But I've always gone the route of established businesses, and I've done really well doing that because they've already proven themselves.
Exactly.
A lot of people think like, oh, Amazon is already big or Google's already big, I'm not even going to bother. But no, like if you feel that they're going to be around the next 10, 15 years, you haven't missed the boat. So just think about those kinds of businesses that have already established themselves, I would say.
Right, absolutely. And now, as we spoke, now they are making it accessible for people who don't have tons of money to invest in those big companies. So that's a good thing. So what about, I know I learned about investing in these stocks that I don't know how to explain it, that own that it's part of a group of stocks. So if you buy into one, you're also buying into like the group of stocks that go under that one company. Can you tell us a little bit about that? I don't think I'm explaining it correctly, but do you understand what I mean?
Do you mean like an umbrella company?
Yes.
For example, let me think of an example. For example, like Facebook itself, the business owns Instagram. Like
right.
Like, there's a big, or there's another way to look at it in terms of like ETFs, where that's a different type of investing.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you just have to think, like when you're thinking about, if you're making your list of prospective investments
Mm-hmm.
or companies that you want to invest in, you want to make sure that you're investing in the parent company. Like for example, the
Mm-hmm.
parent company, like I had a friend that messaged me one time and she said, oh, I want to invest in YouTube. Can I buy stock in YouTube? No, you have to, in order to be an investor in YouTube, you have to buy Google, like, or
Okay.
Alphabet. Alphabet owns YouTube, and that's the parent company. The parent company of Instagram is Facebook. So if you want to be an investor in Instagram, you have to buy Facebook the stock. So it's just something
Okay.
that you have to look into, whether the business has a parent
Mm-hmm.
company in order for you to invest in it. And that's a really easy Google search. If you're not
Mm-hmm.
sure, you can, oh, who's the parent company of Instagram or whatever.
Yeah.
So you can look that up. But yeah, that's a great approach, because
Mm-hmm.
those are kind of bad examples, because when you think of that, you want to think of companies that have a lot of brands under their umbrella. Like for example,
Right.
Procter and Gamble, for example, or Pepsi also has a lot of companies under their umbrella. They own, people don't might not know this. They own Quaker, like the oatmeal. They own Frito Lay. They own Doritos. They own they have different brands.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
and in order for you to invest in,
Mm-hmm.
if you like Doritos, you have to invest in Pepsi because they own the business. So,
Right.
um, it's just, you just have to like look, I guess, look into it. Most companies are straightforward. Some of them, it's not that clear. So you just have to like see who's the leader,
Mm-hmm.
who's the
Mm-hmm.
parent of the business.
Okay, yeah, because I know there are also like I think some construction companies I was looking in, development companies and things like that that they own other establishments and stuff like
Okay.
that. So
Those are like maybe
yeah.
REITs, maybe like real estate investment
Yes.
trust.
Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes,
yeah, that's
yes.
a whole another brand.
Yeah.
It's also really
Yeah.
like a great type of investment too. They own um the buildings that have the malls, or like
Mm-hmm.
different real estate locations. Yeah, those are also really good. They're called,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you tell everyone what they're called again? What it stands
So
for?
it's REITs is real estate investment trust. So if you, let's say you want to invest in real estate, but you don't want to buy an actual building or a house, you can buy an investment that manages commercial real estate. So
Right.
a REIT, like it depends on the REIT, but a REIT can own like all the malls in a particular, all the buildings that have the malls in a particular area,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe they own all of the office buildings in a certain part of Manhattan. So any money that comes in from those rents that those big businesses pay, that's part of the whole investment. And it could be a really good investment. You just have to look at the finances of the REIT, and
Right.
if they're in good financial standing. And there are a lot of them out there, so it's a lot of research that needs to be done. But if you already know the name of one, it's very easy to
Mm-hmm.
look into it online, and all that information, because those companies are publicly traded, all the
Right.
information on them will be free online. So you just have to, if you know the name, you put it on Google and you look at the source, and you can look at all the financial data and all of that. But those are also really good investments for people that are interested in real estate, but they don't want to go into like buying the actual building type of thing. They want to buy an
Right.
investment that is based on that. Yeah.
Right, right. Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's exactly where I was
Yeah.
trying to go with the questions.
Yeah.
I appreciate that because I've been looking into that as well.
Okay.
What is your take on pharmaceutical stocks?
I'm a fan, because the healthcare industry, pharma industry will always be necessary. It will always be needed. We need healthcare, and we need companies that are innovative and in creating this, all these businesses that make us healthier or whatever. What I would say, if I were to invest in pharma companies, I would go with leaders that are already established,
Right.
because there's a lot of up and coming um, businesses in that industry, and most of them are typically penny stocks. And penny stocks are stocks that sell for maybe 50 cents, less than, usually the official definition is anything under $5, but typically penny stocks that we see all the time are under $1. They sell for they sell
Very
for
low.
cents.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is like, okay, this pharma company is going to be they're going to cure diabetes, they're going to cure AIDS, they're going to cure all these crazy diseases, and they're like in the process. But what happens most of the time with those low cost penny stocks is that they either they don't go anywhere. They stay stagnant at 50 cents or whatever, or they crash. They go to 20 cents, they go bankrupt, and they go to zero. So those are very risky. So I would say if you like the pharma industry, I absolutely 100% love that as part of a diversified portfolio. But look for companies that already made a name for themselves. They already, they already proven themselves. They have already drugs in the system. They already proved that they cure something or that they make something better. And they're in the process of developing new products or new services, and they're already doing their thing. I would be very careful with those up and coming things that people seem to brag about or like tell you to buy because they're going to be the next best thing. Those are typically very risky. And I wouldn't say 100% just stay away, but I would say if you're going to invest in those, look at it as play money, that if it goes to zero, you're not going to care.
Right.
If they do become successful, you'll make some money and it'll be great. But if they go to zero, you're gonna be like, okay, I took that chance and it was fine and whatever. But don't make it a bulk of your portfolio because that's gonna be very, very risky.
Yeah. So also really quickly, Bitcoin. Tell me your take on that.
Wow. So Bitcoin, first of all, just to tell everybody, I've been investing for almost 14 years and I've never bought a crypto Bitcoin in my life. I've always been hesitant of Bitcoin, even though honestly it surprised me for a long time because I started tracking it around 2014 when it was like, I don't know, maybe $100. And next thing I know, some years later is that, 50,000 or something like that.
Right.
But now it has recently crashed, as people probably seen with the rest of the market, but it has crashed significantly. I think now it's like under 20,000. I forgot the last time I checked. I've never been interested in Bitcoin because it's based on the idea that someday the dollar or the world currency is going to be replaced by this digital coin. And that never really convinced me. I would say, okay, maybe in 100 years, maybe we won't be here by the time that happens. In my mind, I've always thought that. And also because it's nothing tangible. The reason why Bitcoin would go up and down is because of demand. So the more people that believed in this coin, the most hype that it would get, the higher the price would get. So it was always based on the supply and demand.
Yeah.
Now that people are like losing interest and the market is down and everything else is down, people are losing hope in Bitcoin and crypto. So now it's crashing. So it's based solely on supply and demand. Whereas if you invest in individual stocks or in companies or real investments, you're investing in, like I said before, in businesses. Businesses that create products and services that you see with your own eyes, that you buy, that you go to the store and you interact with these businesses. They're tangible.
Right.
Where Bitcoin is like an idea, like maybe something happens someday. So that never convinced me. So that's the only reason why I never put a penny in there. But I did have students and clients that wanted to invest in Bitcoin. So what I would tell them is, you can put a little bit of money in there, like I said, like play money, because it has done well, surprisingly, to my surprise, when it was doing well. So just to have like that little, if you don't want to feel like you're missing out, put some money in there and see what happens.
Right.
But again, if you already have a foundation of solid stocks and funds in your portfolio, don't make Bitcoin and crypto your first investment.
Right.
You're just gambling. Like you're just gambling your money away. And if that's what you want to do, fine. But don't think that you're investing because you're putting all your money in coins and crypto.
Right. So with Bitcoin and crypto right now, if you wanted to invest, you would have to buy into the $20,000 or whatever it is right now, the mark, or can you just buy like one or two shares?
You can buy a percentage. So for example, the way to think about, let's say it's 20,000. The way to think about that is that one Bitcoin, one single one costs $20,000. So very rarely anybody's going to go ahead and put that. So for the most part, what people do is buy a fraction of that. So you can buy $100 worth of Bitcoin, a couple of $100 worth. And I think that platforms like Coinbase allow you to do that. I think that's the most popular one that I know of. And I think maybe Robinhood allows you to buy some Bitcoin. I'm not 100% sure. I don't have a Robinhood account, but there's certain platforms that do allow you to buy into it, and you don't have to buy like a whole $20,000 worth. Like I said, you can buy a fraction of that, and it's like a couple of $100 or whatever, and just
Okay.
see what happens with that. But yeah,
Okay.
that's possible. Yeah.
And speaking of the platforms that you should use to invest in stock, like you mentioned, Robinhood, Coinbase, if you're doing crypto and Bitcoin, what are some platforms that that you have used that you like that you would like to share with us?
Sure. So for individual stocks, I've always been a fan of online brokers. So online brokers are a little different than apps. Like an app will be like a Robinhood, like a Cash App, Stash, stuff like that. They're more very simple, simplistic apps that allow you to buy and sell stocks, and then you call it a day. You just it's the hype with those accounts is that they're easier to use. Like that's what I've heard from a lot of people. Like they're user friendly. So if you feel comfortable with a Robinhood and you're like, okay, I started investing and this is what I have and I like it, I feel comfortable with it. No, there's no reason to switch or whatever, to say, oh, forget it. But personally, I like online brokers. So examples of online brokers would be something like Fidelity or Schwab or Ali Invest or TD Ameritrade or Vanguard. These are institutions that have been around for many, many years. They're already well established, and they manage billions of dollars. Whereas something like an app is more up and coming. They're more of a startup. They're still going through the growing pains of being a new business in this industry. So I know in the past they've had some issues with users and stuff like that. Another thing that I don't like about the apps is that if you wanted to get on the phone and talk to a customer service rep about your account, they don't have that. They don't have customer service. You have to get on the email or go on the app and send them a message. Whereas with the online brokers, they've already been doing this for God knows how many years. So you can get on the phone, talk to a rep, straight up, talk to a real person. So that's another perk that you get from that. Right. And the platform is more full-fledged. You get more information, more
support,
more data. It's more comprehensive. So if you feel that you want to take investing seriously and you want to invest for many years, I really like the online brokers as opposed to just the apps. But like I said, if somebody's just getting started and that's all they have and they like it and they're comfortable with it, that's fine. But just know that there's a difference between opening an online broker versus is that.
Right. So maybe thinking about it, like if you reach a certain threshold of investment, maybe you would say over 5K or 10K, then start looking into the online investment companies better.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing that one thing to know is that if you plan to transfer your money from any online broker, you can, if you're gonna sell your investments and then transfer the cash, that's gonna be free. There's no fee for that. But let's say that you already have stocks in your app and you like them and they're doing well, and you want to transfer the stocks into a different account as they are without selling them, that's called an in-kind transfer. And for that, they're going to charge you a fee. So typically what I've seen is like $50, $75 just to transfer your stocks as they are into a different account. So just keep that in mind. So if you don't want to pay the fee, you can just leave the money, the investments there as they are, and then start a new account, with that online broker and start.
Got it.
There again. But just keep in mind that if you want to transfer the stocks, it's going to be a fee involved.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for letting us know that. And thank you so much for the valuable information you've been providing today. I really appreciate that. I can't wait to share this with everyone. Now, I also know that you are an author of 2 best-selling books. So congratulations on that as well. Tell us a little bit about what the names of the books are, where we can access them, and what type of content it contains.
Thank you. Yeah. So I have 2 books. One of them I published in 2016. That was my first book. It's a long title. Like I realized the long title after the fact, but it's called Stock Market Investing Mini Lessons for Beginners. And if you put my name on Amazon, Mabel Nunez or Mabel Nunez, it's gonna come up. So that was my first book, and that book just talks about how to get started with investing, how the stock market works, different strategies to apply to your investment portfolio. And it's a very basic book that anybody can read. A high school student can read it. It's a very easy and quick read. Some people have said, oh, this is investing for dummies because it's so simple, and I'm like, yeah, I agree. It's like that was my goal with the book, because when I started to invest, I used to check out books at the library, and it was over a lot of information that I would read went over my head. It was overly complicated.
Right.
So I was like, I want to write something that is simple and straight to the point. So that's a more general book about the market, how to get started, and the
Mhm.
basics. And then the second book is called Stock Analysis 101. And that book explains step by step how to analyze a stock from the inside out. So if you like a company, you're like,
Mm.
well, I want to invest in McDonald's, but how do I start to research it? Like, what do I need to look for to know that it's a good company? So
Right.
that book explains step by step how to do that research.
Mhm.
And it tells you where to find the information, how to understand the information that you're reading in, in the financial website or whatever. So it's a very hands-on, like step-by-step instruction
Mhm.
manual on analyzing stocks. So that's the second book. And the first book I actually translated into Spanish. So if there's any
Oh, I
Spanish
love that.
speakers, yeah,
Yes.
recently. So I was excited because I was thinking a lot of Spanish speaker people reach out to me and like, oh,
Mhm.
you have anything in Spanish? So thankfully I finally translated the first book into Spanish. So again, if you put my name on Amazon, you can
Mhm.
probably it'll probably come up. So that's also available.
Okay. Oh
Yeah.
my God, that's so awesome. I'm definitely gonna look into purchasing them. Yes, because I feel
Good.
like those are the basic tools that we need to, get started.
Yes.
So thank you so much for that. I do want to ask you really quickly, being an author and being in the book world, what were some of your marketing tools to be able to bring your content to a large audience?
Yeah, well, great question. And actually, I'm a self-published author, so meaning that I went through the whole process by myself and I submitted it to
Wow.
Amazon on my own. And I mean, I have help through like I hire editors to help me edit the book and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But in terms of writing the material and going through the publishing process, it was all me. So I would say 100% social media was a huge help in terms of promoting the book. Also, I have like a newsletter and people on my list that follow me through the years. So by the time I published the book, I already had like a list of thousands of people that were already knew my work, knew my content. So obviously I announced it to them, and then from social media and my newsletter and how you call it, email marketing, it was word of mouth. So that kind of spread
Okay.
around. And also because it's a topic that's a lot of people are interested in, like how to start investing, the basics of investing. So
Hmm.
that also helped me promote the book and make it successful. But it was mostly just like, just the social media and the word of
Yeah.
mouth and all that stuff that really helped me a lot. So,
Okay, okay, awesome. And then as far as like, I know you have online programs right now. Do you have your programs on like specific platforms where it's like like it has an immediate built-in marketing system, or like how does that work? And then also tell us what programs you have online.
yeah, thank you. So yeah, I have
Mhm.
different courses. So I have a boot camp that's 6 weeks. That one is it can be purchased two ways. So like you said, it's on a platform called Teachable. So
Mhm.
my Girls on the Money school, like investing school on Teachable, I have the stocks boot camp. I have a class on ETFs, which is a type of investment like a fund,
Mhm.
and a class on dividends. So those classes are always available for purchase. And people, I let people know that they're there for anybody that wants to purchase it at any time. But I found that some people like to take the classes live
Yes.
with interacting
Mhm.
with other students. So for the boot camp, the 6 weeks boot camp, I also offer the live version of that where I meet with them every week for 6 weeks. And that happens every quarter. I teach it live. So that's another option that students have just to enroll and interact with me and with other students. And that only happens 4 times a year, just because the class is longer and it's more
Mhm.
intense and it's more I also work one-on-one with each student. So that's an option. And then I have a workshop. It's called Ready, Set, Invest, which that one is like a couple of hours long. So for anybody that wants to learn the basics of investing, how to open an investment account, how to analyze their first stock and or their first fund, and how to set that up and just be ready to go. Those workshops I teach every month or every other month live, and then people get the recording afterwards. But also, if anybody finds out about the workshop when between the live sessions, it's also already pre-recorded, so they can purchase it pre-recorded already as well. So
Mhm.
that's another option that I have. So it's those three classes: the bootcamp, the ETF course, the dividends course, and then the workshop, which just teaches you the basics just to set everything up so you can, graduate into, further type of investments.
Okay, awesome. So how can people access it? Do they go on your website?
Yeah,
Let us know.
the easiest way I would say, if you can find me on Instagram or my website is growsonthemoney.com. I have my information there, but also my Instagram, Grows on the Money. Just be careful because I've been having an issue with scammers.
Yes, unfortunately.
Oh my God. So I've had a couple of people trying to copy my page. So one of them is like Girls on the Money 1, and they add new extra letters, whatever. So just make sure you go to Girls on the Money. That's my Instagram original one and only Instagram page. And when I have a course that's coming up, I announce it on there. I make a lot of announcements and I let people know, hey, enrollment is open, make sure you sign up and stuff like that. So that's the easiest way and the fastest way to find out like what's coming up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm so proud of everything that you're doing. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with our community, for being a Latina. Super excited, to be connecting with you. And everyone, like Mabel said, just, go follow her on Girls on the Money on Instagram, just Girls on the Money, no extra letters. And make sure that you, check in and log into, buy into her courses, look at her books and stuff like that if you're getting started, or even if you want more additional information, because I feel it's going to be super, super useful. I definitely am going to invest. So I cannot wait to check out your books. Yeah. And I just want to thank you for taking out the time and meeting with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sue. I had a great time, so much fun.
Likewise.
I love this, talking about investing and teaching others and sharing my information. So thank you for your space. Yes. And any questions, anything like that, please reach out. I'm more than happy to chat with your audience about anything related to this field. So thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. I will keep in touch with you. And thank you so much again. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the holiday weekend.
Happy 4th. Yes, thank you.
Yes. All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Are we done? Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll reach out to you after.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.